Good morning, everybody. It's Amy Bennett with AM Show. I am back with you after not being here Monday and Tuesday because we were at the beach, but I am back now. And I'm giving you a little bit different view this morning. I thought maybe we'd get a little bit of greenery here. If I had more of a, what do you call, green thumb, I could probably have some plants on my porch, but y'all, I kill like everything. Yeah, it's kind of a joke. Anyway, so good morning to everybody. Thanks for coming back today, letting me have a break. It was a great couple days, even though it was very, very short. And it's always just a blessing really to be at the beach and to remember how big God is and how amazing He is. I took a walk really early in the mornings at the beach, and I just kept telling God, like God, you're so smart. You're so smart. Like, it just blows my mind how the waves happen and that the ocean knows where to stop. I mean, I was following, the curve of obviously the shore, and I was just thinking, like, how does it know to stop right here? Like, all of this water, was just, I don't know how all that works. And just to think about all of the plant life and animal life that is just beyond those waters that we really can't see. There's just a whole like ecosystem that we can't see, and it always blows my mind. And just to look out at the horizon and to see like water and water and water, and to think about like how far that goes for, I'm on the Atlantic coast, and so I think about like that goes all the way out to like Africa and Europe, and blows your mind. It is so crazy. So I think it's always so good to get to where God inspires you, right? So for some people that is the mountains, and I see people, and I think the mountains are gorgeous, but they don't inspire me the same way that the beach does. So some people can, look at mountain ranges and just be in awe, and I think they're gorgeous, but they just don't inspire me like the beach does. So I definitely have been reminded of who God is the past couple days. And oh my goodness, you can see Tucker in action. You normally don't get to see him go after something. Who knows? That was probably a squirrel. But this morning I was just, I got up, I did my, my journaling and my reading, and I didn't come away with like this huge revelation. And I was thinking, but I had one of the things that I read was Proverbs. If you never know, if there's ever a time that you don't know what to read, go to Proverbs and read that day's date. So today's the 11th. So I read Proverbs 11, and I was just reminded, not a huge revelation, but I was just reminded of all the things that God is about. Like, it talks about that God is a God of justice, not using the differing weights. He talks about being generous. He talks about honoring our relationships and not gossiping, and all of these characteristics about who God is and what He's about. I was just reminded of that, and I was just thinking, sometimes we're not going to get a huge revelation every single morning, right? But sometimes we are going to be just reminded. It's not a revelation, but it's a reminder of who God is. And just like we would go on a date with our husbands, or we go on, like my husband and I did, we'd go on vacation just to remember each other and like get reacquainted. And that's what I think sometimes our mornings are, is just get reacquainted about who God is and what His character is. Because even today, we are going to be hit with so many messages about what the world thinks is right, what even other Christians think God is like. And we have to root ourselves in God's Word, because that is the ultimate place of truth and where we get the truth of who God actually is. And the Bible's huge. I'm reminded of that as I read through it again with our group in 90 days this summer. It's huge, and there's a lot to take in, and that you have to do that in small chunks. You have to learn about God in small chunks every single day. It is so important that we ground ourselves in that truth and God's character, so we know the truth, so we recognize it. I always go back to, I'm sure you've heard this, where it talks about the people who look for fraudulent money. They don't study the money that's wrong to see what's wrong with it. They study the money that is real so that when they see something fraudulent, they recognize it very quickly because it doesn't look like the real thing. And I think that's what, and I always go back to that. I'm sure you've heard of that, but I always go back to that with God's truth, is that when we study God's word, that is us just studying the truth and the real truth of who God is and who God's character is. So when we see, an image pop on Instagram, or we see an article pop up on Facebook and we read it, we will know then what is fraudulent and what is truth. And then we will not be swayed by lies, by false information about God, and that can take us down many, many paths that are dangerous, really, when we are believing lies about who God is and what He's about. And so I just want to remind us, even this normal Wednesday, that it's so important that we get in God's word every single day. Every single day we just remember who God is. And not only too about that is about not just who God is, but who we're supposed to be. So as I read that God is a God of generosity, and God is a God of justice, and God is a God that honors relationships, it reminds me who I am shooting to be today. So when I am making decisions that maybe have to do with finances, and I am, I want to make sure that I am being just in my decisions, and I'm not having differing weights, and I'm not like trying to be sneaky about my finances and trying to slip things in. Like, I want to be a person that is a person of justice and that is fairness. And I am reminded that as I go about my day and somebody asks me for something, that I am generous, and that I'm not gossiping, and I'm honoring my relationship. So it not only helps us ground us in truth, but it grounds us in who we are supposed to be. And I know none of this is groundbreaking, but I think it was just a reminder for me today. We just need that daily reminder, and it's okay if it's not huge revelation, but it is so important that we even just get the reminder. So I hope that if you have not gotten in God's word today, that as soon as you're done listening to this, that you would do that. One of the things that I'm reminded too as I read through the Bible is how important and helpful listening to the Bible with audio is. So even if you you're out and about, you're exercising, you're driving, whatever it is, a lot of times we have a tendency to I do a podcast music, but we can also put on God's word. And it makes we have no excuse. There is the YouVersion Bible app. Put on the audio and it will read to you. And I am telling you, there's something peaceful that happens when that is around us. So maybe that's a challenge for you today, that as you go about, that you would put on the Bible and just have God's truth spoken over you. And I just think about like the oral tradition of the Bible historically, is that people didn't have copies of the Bible way back then. They memorized it and they spoke it. And so I feel like that's a very traditional thing to do. Some people feel like, oh, I'm cheating because I'm listening to it and I'm not reading it. Well, you know what? A long time ago, they weren't reading it either. They were listening to it. And so I think it's a very traditional and historical thing to do, to listen to it. So I don't know why I went on that tangent, but maybe it's helpful for somebody today. Words are hard. Well, let me say good morning before I jump into work here. Good morning, Marie and Kelly. Oh, Kelly, you say you kill plants too. I'm sorry. I feel you. IKEA has a lot of really good, if you have an IKEA near you, has a lot of really good fake plants. Stephanie, Marie, I already said Marie. Yep. So, good morning, guys. Thanks for coming back. So I'm going to hop into work today. Hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. See you back tomorrow. Bye.